Hey, what is up everyone? Welcome back to another review, and today I'm taking a look at a whole lot of high-grade Gundam because this right here is the high-grade RERISING Gundam. So this is everything we would have seen so far from the main suits from the end of the series, Gundam Build Divers RERISING. That once again is the VALKYLANDER, the WODOM Pod, Gundam Aegis Knight, and the URAVEN Gundam. And one thing you might notice about these is, well, they're slightly different color, and by slightly, I mean very. They're all in gold. Anyway, if you do want one of these of your own or for any of your gunpla needs, check out that link down there in the description. You can get yours at Hobbylink Japan with 5% off using that coupon. But anyway, here we go. So right off the bat, I just have to start with just how much plastic, well, gold plastic comes in this box. That is all 4 of the mobile suits as well as all of these accessories. Essentially, this is all 4 of those kits that came before with everything that they came included with, just all in gold. So just as a bit of a summary, we've got the full URAVEN Gundam, planet system, its shield, the weapons, everything, beam sabers, hands. Once again, everything we would have seen in the original URAVEN kit, just in gold and green. We've got the full VALKYLANDER once again with all of its accessories, the shield, the rifle, the swords, just in a light gold and guess what? Green! Just like we would have seen originally, the Aegis Knight comes with a lot more than everything else, that is in green and gold of course, and it comes with that lance, the sword, the shield, the adapters for building the RERISE Gundam, and all of those effect parts, just this time in that green instead of yellow. Lastly then, we've got that WODOM Pod with the parts to make it into the WODOM Pod Plus. So once again, a whole lot of plastic! The gold and green theme continues with the stickers. These are all, well, in gold and green. I did not use them all, especially on the VALKYLANDER because, well, that takes so many stickers, so I didn't really bother. Especially because not a lot of it is used in the RERISING Gundam. But yeah, now that we've seen what comes in the box, let's take a quick look at the box. So anyway, there is the box. We've got the full image of the RERISING Gundam on the right. A bit of a close-up of its face there on the left, and this looks pretty cool. This is one big, unique box. It's about the size of a standard, large, master-grade box. Flipping to the first side, once again, we can see all the kits that come included. It just shows the Core Gundam 2 here, but the full URAVEN's in here. Next up there is what the RERISING Gundam will look like, finished in this gold and green color scheme. These are what are left over once it's built, so that is the Uranus armor, or should I say Uranus armor, the core fighter from the Aegis Knight, as well as the vast majority of the VALKYLANDER. We also have this pretty cool shot from the intro of Gundam Build Divers RERISING, just this time done with gunpla, so that's pretty cool there. And flipping around to the other side, we get that full front and rear shot of the finished RERISING Gundam, all the kits that come included, and yeah, that is it for the box. So now taking a look at each kit one by one before we build the actual full RERISING Gundam in this gold color. First up, we've got the high-grade URAVEN Gundam. And before I mention anything at all about these particular kits, there's one thing that I will super recommend grabbing if you're grabbing this kit, and that is a brown panel lining marker. I felt these kits were looking a little bit on the drab side. All that pearlescent gold was looking a little bit, well, a little bit much and a little bit plain. So I decided to try lining it up with the brown panel lining marker to see what happened. And this takes it to a whole different level. So just for a quick example, there is the Aegis Knight just as it is out of the box, snapped together with no extra effort. I put a bit of panel lining on its face, but that is it. And as you can see, it does look quite detailless without that panel lining. URAVEN with some panel lining, and there is Aegis without the panel lining. It just looks so well, washed out and odd. Once again, there's some panel lining on the knee, which makes it very nice looking, brings out all that detailing. And once again, there's an example of the Aegis Knight without it. It just looks so dead and so, well, not great. It really does make quite the difference. I thought, well, gold and green colored kits would definitely be a bit weird, and the panel lining really makes it look a little bit more, well, premium than it just plain like this. So if you're going to do one thing, I highly recommend doing that. So now taking a look at each one with everything that it comes with one by one. As usual with a kit that is just a color variation, if you want to see the whole review in more detail, then just check out the full review. So just like we would have seen before with the standard high-grade URAVEN Gundam, this is everything we get with it. So that is the shield, extra hands, beam sabers, that beam shoot rifle U7, the rack for stacking the armor on when it's not in use, and those 3 sensor bits. The beam sabers of course can be held in the hand like so, When they're not in use, they can be stored around here on the backpack. The beam shoot rifle just slides on in like so. This swings round and connects onto the rear of the armor. The sensor bits, they attach on here. That's one thing I will mention at this point. This plastic is a lot floppier and slippier than the standard kits. I'm not sure if it's something to do with the very glossy surface, but man, these things like to flop and fall quite a bit. And the last sensor bit pops onto the shield like this. This part attaches in here. This whole thing pops onto the back. And that bit falls out so often, just like in the full review. This thing just does not hold on here whatsoever. It should pop in here and hold, but yeah, it does not. So honestly, I just stick a little bit of tack onto the connection point like this and then just jam it on in, because otherwise it won't hold in. Damn, these kits are floppy. Whoa, that gold plastic doesn't just look bad, it is bad. So anyway, there is the full 360-degree spin of that golden URAVEN Gundam in all of its, well, glory. So first off, I will mention that the gold does not look as cheap as I thought it would, especially when it's panel lined up with that brown panel liner. It looks actually quite eye-catching and kind of cool. I especially dig the bronze that has replaced the red on this. That is pretty cool looking. However, on the flip side, I did not expect it to feel this bad. The glossy metallic plastic seemed to have compromised the integrity of the kit ever so slightly, and the Core Gundam 2 to me always fell apart a little bit, and now it just seems to fall apart, well, a little bit more. Anyway, on to the next one. So now moving on to the next kit in the box, and that is the high-grade Aegis Knight, once again this time in gold and green. So what we've got in here is the full assortment of parts we would have seen with that kit. Once again, we're rocking the full action base, this time in an orangey color. It is interesting that Bandai kept them all a different color, so this one seems to be frozen orange. The one that we saw with the URAVEN was more of a frozen cola, and then the WODOM Pods one is more of a frozen lemon, so that's interesting. We've also got the lance, the sword, that shield in the crazy green, and once again that huge assortment of effect parts. So once again I will mention that I did not panel line this kit besides its face, because I realized this would have taken ages to build if I panel lined everything, so at least you get a decent idea of what this will look like right out of the box with only a little bit of extra effort. And once again, this plastic. So these ankles were always a bit of a nightmare. I do recommend gluing that seam there, because that does screw up a functional part quite a bit. But anything that was loose in these kits in the standard versions is twice, if not 3 times as loose with this plastic. So once again, there isn't really a whole lot I can say about this kit. It's just the high-grade Aegis Knight, once again in gold and green. It is the exact shade we saw with the URAVEN, because these have to all match when they become that RERISING Gundam. And speaking of which, let's speed this along so we can actually see that sometime this century. Anyway, so in here we've got that shield. We can slap that onto the side of the arm, just like that. The lance, just like we've seen before, can be held 2 different ways. That is by the shaft right here, or by this handle. The handle doesn't require separating the hand, so that's what we're gonna do. It's quicker. And when this crazy green sword is not in use, just pop out the effect, and that can be stored right down here on the bottom of the shield, just like that. This kit is quite unusual for a high grade because it does require a base adapter, and let's slap him onto that action base that is frozen orange flavored so we can get him spinning. But before that, contrary to everything I've said so far in this video, these shoulders are not loose at all. These aren't giving me the issues I was having with the standard variant whatsoever. On the normal version, these shoulders were so loose, but on this one, they're solid as a rock. What is going on here? Let's get it spinning. So there's that full 360 spin now of the high-grade Aegis Knight in that gold and green. Once again, I think this doesn't look nearly as bad as I thought it would, and this kit isn't even panel lined. I think the metallic or pearlescent injection gold doesn't look as bad once it's combined with more of that color. The bronze to me looks fantastic. That's one of the nicest metallic colors I've seen in a plastic before. And once again, kind of contrary to what I was saying with the high-grade URAVEN Gundam, this isn't really falling apart as much as that is, so that may have been more of an isolated case. But if you like gold and green, then you may just love this kit. On to the next one. On to the next kit in the box now, and this of course is the high-grade WODOM Pod, once again in gold, but no green. So this is everything we get in here. That is the WODOM pod. We've got the frozen lemon flavored stand, as well as the parts to make it into the WODOM Pod Plus. So I have to admit, I'm a little disappointed by this kit right here, because out of all the kits in this box, this to me is the most unique, and this one could have benefited from some of the crazier colored plastics that we have in here. So this kit just comprises of 3 different colors of gold and has none of that beautiful bronzy color and none of the cool green. The armor in here does add a 4th shade of gold to the mix, but man, the WODOM pod had so much nice green on it, I thought we'd get some green. I know it's a background section, well, it is the legs as well of the RERISING Gundam. I would have liked to see more of that color, but hey, I guess the design of the WODOM pod itself is more of a knock-on effect of the overall color of the RERISING Gundam, but still, that would have been nice. Honestly though, besides that, there isn't a lot more to say about this version of the WODOM pod. It doesn't really do anything accessories-wise besides attach on the armor, and I'm going to do that in the spin, so let's move on to the spin. There is that full spin of the high-grade WODOM pod in gold, and once again, I do feel this is the one that is the most hard done by its color scheme. I really think this would have looked a lot better with some gold, some of the bronze, especially some of the bronze, but hey, this is what it looks like. There's it with the armor on, and one good point about this color scheme is the armor now matches quite well. It is another shade of gold, so that's a grand total of 4 different shades of gold on this thing, and what can I say? It's one big old gold WODOM pod. On to the next one. So now on to the last of the squad, and this of course is the SDX VALKYLANDER, once again in gold and green. Everything in here just like we would have seen before, which is the 2 swords, the rifle, and the shield. And as for the VALKYLANDER, this is rocking a lot of the lighter shade of gold and a lot of the green compared to the other kits, so this does look quite striking. Actually, I think out of all the kits, I think this is the one that looks the best in this color compared to the rest, but hey, that's just an opinion, but I think it looks pretty alright. However, this kit does come with a whole dose of stickers, like I mentioned, all these ones down here. Those are for using exclusively on the X-VALKYLANDER here, so there's a lot of stickers. Too bad this isn't color accurate, because this would have had a lot of awesome green. Accessories wise, everything is quite simple, so we've got those swords which can be held in the hands, or popped up here on the wings as wing extenders. The shield can just slide on into the hand, like so, and the same goes for that big old rifle. But one thing that is a little bit odd is this kit right here is the only one that does not come with an action base. I know the VALKYLANDER itself did not come with one, so that does make sense, but Bandai, you could have just thrown in another one so this wouldn't be grounded all the time. But anyway, let's get it spinning. So anyway, there's that final 360-degree spin before we go on to building that RERISING Gundam. Once again, this is just the VALKYLANDER in gold and green. It's primarily green, it could have more, just I didn't add those stickers. And honestly, once again, this doesn't look nearly as bad as I expected it to. But if you're the type that doesn't like glossy or gold injection or pearlescent plastic, this may not be for you, but it's about time we built that full golden RERISING Gundam. So before we actually get into that full RERISING Gundam, there is what Core Gundam 2 looks like in gold, and once again, I think this looks pretty cool. The one thing that is the biggest letdown is it's so floppy, just look at that. I don't know why Core Gundam 2, compared to everything else in this box, is just so wonky. I mean, even its legs just fall off so simply. Core Gundam 2 I always found quite inferior to the standard Core Gundam, but this is somewhat worse. Well, he still looks pretty awesome though, even in gold. As for building Core Gundam, it's the same as we would have seen before. We just steal Aegis Knight's backpack, its arms, chest, and legs, then just leave them for dead. Then we pop the chest and legs onto Core Gundam. The legs are now the arms. Steal the WODOM pod's legs, break its arms, spin it around, pop the back, open the hatch, stick the legs on backwards, rob the X-VALKYLANDER's rifle, hat, shoes, wings, leave it for dead, attach the tail in with Core Gundam, attach Aegis Knight's arms into the shoulders, carefully pop that on up here, get in there. X-VALKYLANDER's wings pop into the waist, and then we finish it all off with that crown of green. And there we go! There is the Re-Rising Gundam in gold. Wait a minute. There we go. Also, as for the two that we abandoned and left for dead, we've got what remains of ex-VALKYLANDER over here. We still have its shield and its little knife gun. And as for what's left of the Aegis Knight over here, that can transform, like so, into a kind of flight mode. So when this is all put together, not only do we have the absolutely massive golden Re-Rising Gundam, we also have what's left of the ex-VALKYLANDER, the core fighter mode of the Aegis Knight with its weapons up top, and we've got all of the Uranus armor right here. By the way, this shield doesn't actually go up there. I just think it looks pretty cool and fits on quite well, and to me, really rounds out the whole look. So you can stick that up there if you want to. It is left over. So even if you do have this in Re-Rising mode, you still have a cool little squad right here. And this is a whole lot of plastic, and once again, it does look a whole lot better than I was expecting. I expected this to look pretty bad with these colors, but hey, it's not that bad. Next up is that shelf presence test, and as you'd expect with something big, gold, and green, this stands out quite a bit. Once again, this is a shelf full of master grades and perfect grades, so a high grade usually has the massive disadvantage when up on this shelf, but this holds its own quite well. This is a kit that will stand out in any collection. Up next, there it is with the entire squad involved, and this will take up a vast quantity of space on your shelf. This one passes that shelf presence test with flying colors. 2 colors, gold and green. Finally, there it is side by side with the standard color variant. If you want to make the standard color variant, of course you have to buy all of the individual kits separately and then put them all together. Of course, whichever one you do like more will come down to your own personal opinion. Do you want the standard color or the crazy golden version? That, of course, is a decision that only you can make. Anyway, that right there is it for the review, and this is pretty much exactly the same as what we saw before, just in gold. And I have to say, this shade of gold and that nice coppery bronze in the green is all a lot nicer than I thought it would be. Panel line this up in brown, maybe use some nice gray on the green parts or something like that, even better a dark green, and this will actually look astounding. Sure, the individual mobile suits don't look as great as I thought they could have, but when they all come together into that Re-Rising Gundam, which is the whole point of this kit, it does look good. The only down point to this kit I found is from the core Gundam 2. It just falls apart all the time, and this one in here just feels a little bit worse than what I saw with the standard URAVEN Gundam. I'm not sure why that is, if this is just an isolated case. I can't think that it is though, because the one I had before did fall apart quite regularly, just not as much as this one. But besides that, this is one very unique kit and was quite a lot of fun to put together. Anyway, if you do want one of your own, there's a link down there in the description. You can get yours through Hobby Link Japan. As always, thank you so much for watching. Make sure to come back for more gunpla reviews, and I will see you next time. Once again, I cannot finish this video right here without thanking each and every one of you guys. Whether you just watch my videos, like them, or support the channel on the channel memberships and over on Patreon. Like Craig Jury, Greg Humphrey, Kaiser721, Tyler Sanders, Caleb Engelhardt, Sean T, and the ambassador for Asymmetric Cats.